Hello, everybody. My name is Professor Ice E. Vanes, and today I will be using a series of complex charts, graphs, and mathematical equations to prove once and for all that the Enhancement Shaman is the best class in Warcraft. What is that? Oh no, my only weakness, fun!
The Fire Mage is the best class in World of Warcraft. And when I say that, I don't mean it's the class that has the most damage per second, or the most crowd control, or any of that stuff that nerds care about. I mean it is simply the best class. It has a unique central mechanic that's all about high mobility, explosions, and most importantly, big numbers. This class is an absolute dopamine factory, and I love it. And it's crazy to me, nobody plays this spec. At least as of time of writing, it is currently the 5th least played spec in the game, despite Mage being one of the most popular classes. Disgusting. Behold, the humble Pyroblast. On its own, it is unremarkable. You do some hand waving to charge it up, shoot a fireball, boom, it does some damage. However, the Fire Mage revolves entirely around one key mechanic, the hot streak. Whenever you land 2 crits in a row with any single target spell, your next Pyroblast will be instant. Okay, that's pretty cool, but 2 crits in a row, sure, that happens occasionally, but, not enough for it to be your main damage feature. Surely that would be inconsistent and frustrating. Ha, you fool. Bam! Bam! Phoenix Flames and Fire Blast. 2 instant cast guaranteed crits that can have up to 3 charges each, depending on your talents. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. But let's flesh out this rotation a little bit more. Fireball. This is your main filler spell. It does low damage, but it has very fast cast time. It's mostly used to fish for crits to start a hot streak. Scorch. Basically a weaker fireball, but crucially, it can be cast while moving, and it's a guaranteed crit on enemies below 30% HP. Meteor. This is a talent, which means technically it's optional, but shut up, no it isn't. Meteor is the closest thing you're going to get in World of Warcraft to a 25 kill streak. All of these abilities are centered around building hot streaks. Well, except Meteor, that one's just fun. Your whole normal gameplay loop as a Fire Mage is centered around trying to gain as many hot streaks as possible for instant Pyroblasts. Those familiar with Fire Mage may notice that I haven't mentioned Fire Strike. Well, there is a good reason for that. It kind of sucks. Basically, hot streaks technically make your next Pyroblast or Fire Strike instant. Fire Strike is basically a big AoE spell, so your first instinct is probably to use that instead of Pyroblast if you're fighting groups of mobs. The thing is, as a Fire Mage, you have a passive called Ignite. Whenever you hit an enemy with a fire spell, a percentage of that damage will be done again as a dot, damage over time. When you use Fire Blast on an enemy with Ignite, it spreads to up to 3 nearby enemies. And, okay, basically a bunch of people much smarter than me have done the math, and unless you specifically take a bunch of talents to improve it, it's almost always better to use Pyroblast even in AoE situations, especially if you have the Firefall talent, which you should. So, I will discuss specific rotations in a minute, but generally, your gameplay loop is casting fireballs until you get a crit, then you're going to use one of your instant crits, thus granting you a hot streak, and then Pyroblast. Wait, I hear you say. What happens if my Pyroblast crits? Does that start another hot streak? You are now awake. All of this is great. Fun, engaging, little bit of RNG to keep you on your toes. However, I have yet to tell you about the secret sauce. The thing that transforms the Fire Mage from a fun spec into a transcendental experience. This is the best button in World of Warcraft. Combustion. So named because it makes me bust every time I press it. This ability makes all of your spells guaranteed crits for the next 12 seconds. Every instant Pyroblast will immediately start another hot streak, allow you to run around like a madman, just flinging out spells left and right. Pyroblast, Fireblast, Pyroblast, Fireblast, Pyroblast. Okay, you get the point. This is your most important cooldown. Use it whenever possible. So, rotations. There are a couple basic rotations here that I will go over, but just a quick note here first. I'm just going to say the word Fireball, however, mentally replace that with Scorch if you have to reposition. Fire mages will say that this spell sucks, and yeah, it does, but doing a little bit of damage while moving is better than doing no damage while moving, so don't be afraid to use it. The Lazy Man's Fire Mage is extremely simple. Spam Fireball until you get a crit. Fire Blast, instant Pyroblast. Boom. That's it. Literally 3 spells. And this does way more damage than you would expect. Your normal rotation when Combustion is not active is similar in trying to build as many hot streaks as possible. It's just a bit involved and includes a few more abilities. Always open with a Meteor. I mean, that's not actually for a hot streak, it just does stupid damage. Now, if you have max stacks of Fire Blast and Phoenix Flames, use both for a hot streak. Pyroblast. Fireball until you get a crit. Now you basically want to go back and forth between Phoenix Flames and Fire Blast so that neither one ever caps out on stacks. Pyroblast when hot streak, rinse and repeat. If you're feeling really ambitious, you can switch to using Scorch when the enemy is below 30% for the guaranteed crits.
I will now teach you how to bust properly.
The biggest mistake I see fire mages make is that they activate Combustion just because it comes off cooldown with no plan or strategy of how to get rolling. Then they panic and waste half the duration just trying to build up their first hot streak. Basically, you want to have a hot streak primed and ready before you press this button. This allows you to immediately get your chain rolling. Also, it's worth noting that Meteor does not count towards a hot streak, but it does benefit from the 100% crit chance. This does stupid damage, so ideally you want to use Meteor and Combustion together, but, if you have 35 seconds left on your Meteor cooldown, then don't wait to combust, just do it anyway. So, here's the main Combustion rotation. Prep a hot streak by whatever means necessary. Cast Meteor before you pressed Combustion. When the Meteor animation starts, but before it actually hits, bust. Then bust again when you see the massive hit splat. Now that Combustion is active, you're going to immediately shoot your instant Pyroblast, and before it hits, Fire Blast again. These two things should hit at about the same time, instantly giving you another instant Pyroblast, and you are now cooking. Cycle your instant Pyroblasts with Phoenix Flames and or Fire Blasts until you have achieved a trance-like state of euphoria. Talents. I am not going to cover every single talent option here because that would take years and be really boring. But basically, always take Meteor and Firefall, always take Sun King's Blessing, and the rest is kinda up to you. Obviously, some of these may affect the rotations I listed above, such as Alexstrasza's Fury, which makes Dragon Breath a guaranteed crit and a key part of your rotation. So, play around with them. It's 2025, you can switch up your talents whenever you want. Try them out. Here are two pretty meta talent trees I yoinked straight from Icy Veins, the one on the left being very single target-y, and the one on the right being very AoE-y. But if you're feeling spicy,
here is my own personal Fire Mage build I cooked up in the lab. This build takes all of the CC and utility that mages are known for and throws them out like pirate software in a hardcore dungeon.
What am I supposed to do for you?
It goes all in on close range damage, basically turning you into a suicidal battle mage.
A kamikaze, if you will.
I cannot stress enough that this is not optimal, unless you're measuring by fun per minute, in which case it is optimal. For hero talent trees, both are good. Sun Fury gives you an actual Phoenix, which is pretty cool thematically. However, I prefer Frostfire. It is generally the stronger of the two, and it has some nice quality of life stuff like slows, a stronger shield, and an extra free crit occasionally.
But the real reason I like it is because Comet Storm, which is like adding 5 more meteors to your already ridiculous meteor. And yes, before you ask, they are all affected by Combustion's guaranteed crits.
So, that is the Fire Mage. This is not necessarily meant to be a serious, in-depth guide, more of an intro, spotlight, sort of beginner's Fire Mage 101 kind of thing. There are smarter people than me who make really in-depth guides, so this is just meant to help people who are like, I might want to check out Fire Mage, it seems a bit cool, but Blizzard does a terrible job of, introducing people to classes. They just immediately throw 35 new abilities at you, and they're like, figure it out, champ, good luck. And frankly, I just think it's criminal how few people play this spec. It is so much fun. I generally don't like casters. I think they're kind of boring, but Fire Mage is so good. You just run around, spam fireballs, and cause explosions all over the place. I love it. So, if you learned something or you enjoyed this video, subscribe. I will have more videos coming out soon. And, yeah. Go blow something up. Don't take that out of context.